Okay, this slide is headed Standard Equation of a Quadratic, which is not the same as what I showed you in the first place, which was actually the general form of a quadratic function. Well, the fact is that we have three common equations for every quadratic. We're going to discuss the second one now, and that is the standard form. So, whenever you start with one of these, you can transform it into one of these, which, behold, has the vertex built into it. So, that constant in front, the a value, is going to tell us up or down, and it's also going to give us the scale of the whole thing. So, here we have a quadratic in standard form, and we can read right away from it what the vertex is. It's -4, this is x minus a -4, -8, it opens down, we know, by this -2, and we can also, in this standard form, think about drawing a regular parabola and then doing transformations on it. We know that it's going to move 2 to the left. We know it's going to be reflected over the horizontal axis. We know it's going to be stretched by a factor of 2. And then, after doing all that to it, we're also going to slide it down the plane 8 units. Alrighty, so we have that much, and I already figured out what f of 0 is. Now it's a little more complicated than it was in the general form. I got to plug a 0 in here and think, okay, -2 times 4 squared minus 8. And here we have a vertex 4 units to the left of the y-axis. When I go 4 more, I get this y-intercepts twin, doppelganger. Okay, so here are the relevant points, and there's the best parabola I could make with that one. Okay, let's look also at number 14, which I believe we already did. We know, because we found it earlier using the -b over 2a, what the vertex is, so we can take that value and just plug the, I forget what it was, 2 and -11, into this equation and rewrite this fellow from general form into standard form. And if I feel a desire to check this, then I can expand it again by figuring out what that x minus 2 squared is and all that. And yeah, I do come right back to where I started, so I feel good. Okay, this should say f of -b over 2a, but what we can do if we like is complete the square. I hope that you studied some of, let's see, I forget what chapter it was. I think I gave you some notes on where completing the square is, and then we had some demonstrations in the videos for 1.9 on completing the square. Now, I like completing the square. For one thing, I learned how. And for another, I find so many opportunities for making mistakes when I do this. So, I'm going to complete the square. If you did see and try some completing the square when we were talking about circles, then you should be able to follow this example, and we'll work some when we get to class 2. So, first, I need to factor out the 3 because I need a 1 in front of that x squared, not a 3. And I have a blank here inside the parens and a blank outside the parens. I'm going to add something here and then subtract it there. and then we'll still be all even on the right side of this equation. So I know that 4 is what I add because I take the negative 4, divide it by 2, and square the result. This is a little bit sneaky. I didn't just add 4, I added 3 times 4. So that's what I'm going to subtract, is 3 times 4. And we have the same equation that we found before with the vertex to negative 11. I like that more than I like processing these guys. Makes me feel smarter somehow. That's the end of this session.